This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
Just ahead on Carolina Impact's 10th anniversary.
Save the birds or save the beaches. I'm Jeff Sonnier with the Carolina Coastline, where one beach town's plan to rebuild its beach before storm season is stalled because of where they're getting their sand.
Plus, we'll take you to a community outreach event helping feed thousands locally and abroad. And we'll learn more about a third-generation Tar Heel cookie company that'll make you hungry. Carolina Impact starts right now.
Carolina Impact, covering the issues, people, and places that impact you. This is Carolina Impact.
Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Amy Burkett. Welcome to Carolina Impact's 10th anniversary season. It's been such an honor sharing stories about the issues, people, and places that impact our region. We've got an issue for you right now. Our Carolina beaches are a favorite summer destination for lots of visiting vacationers across our region. But once summer's over, no beach wants a visit from a hurricane. We've all seen the damage done by past storms, but are the beaches better prepared for the next storm? Carolina Impact's Jeff Sonnier and videographer Doug Stacker take us to the coast near Wilmington for a closer look at what the beaches are doing and what they're not doing to get ready.
Yeah, North Carolina's most popular beaches are always prepping for the next tropical storm or hurricane. Every coastal county and beach town has its own plan, but this storm season, well, it looks like some beaches are more ready than others.
So this beach where we're standing here was much lower, and on a higher tide, this water was all the way up to the dunes almost.
We're walking this breezy beach just south of Wilmington with Brandon Dooley from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, just finishing up their beach rebuilding project.
So they started working in February.
Where months of construction and miles of pipe earlier this year brought in more than 2 million cubic yards of new sand from offshore for Carolina Beach, Curie Beach. With bulldozers then reshaping that new sand into bigger, better beaches. And how much higher and wider is it now than it was before you started?
So here where we're standing, we built to about elevation 6 foot, and then the 50-foot storm berm, and then about another 100-foot construction berm. So 250 feet in some sections. It varies though.
You can see the difference here at Curie Pier in this video from Memorial Day weekend. For more than 5 miles, everything on the shore side of the pipeline, well, that's how wide the beach used to be. Everything on the surf side of the pipeline is all new beach. And they're not just creating more space for you to get a tan or for kids to dig in the sand either.
You know, a wider, bigger berm provides more protection. And so storm surge, wave action, we're protecting all the important coastal infrastructure here on Pleasure Island, Carolina Beach, Curry Beach. Hugely important to the region.
Coastal Carolina. It is variety vacation land within itself.
Here in New Hanover County, they've been renourishing these beaches that support North Carolina's vacation land economy for decades. This black and white photo of bulldozers on the beach was after Hurricane Hazel in 1954. But this year's Build Back the Beaches project was the first since the damage we showed you from Hurricane Florence in this story 4 years ago. But then came the storm surge and, well, there went the sand. 2 or 3 feet of sand now missing, gone. These dunes disappearing overnight back in 2018, washed away by the same wind and waves that damaged or destroyed so many homes here.
Well, I've lived through 2 hurricanes here where we had water. I had a foot of water in my house. They built up the beach. And God willing, you know, it'll last. So see what happens during the hurricane season. I live 100 yards from the edge of the water, across the street, and I'm cautiously optimistic. You know, Mother Nature being what it is.
I mean, Mother Nature's Mother Nature. You can't beat her. But we do try and meet her at least halfway.
Leighton Bedsold is the Shore Protection Coordinator for New Hanover County, where they use technology now, like GPS, measuring these beaches before and after every renourishment project. Because widening these beaches helps protect and grow the dunes, which Bedsold calls the last line of protection for the homes and the businesses and the jobs that the beaches provide.
Well, it's a successful example of the coastal storm damage reduction projects. It's our bread and butter up and down the coast. Barring the worst of the worst, Carolina and Curry are in good shape going into the season, and Wrightsville's a little shy.
Which brings us to Wilmington's other big beach, Wrightsville Beach, which was also overdue for new recycled sand this year, until a lawsuit by the Audubon Society stopped what it calls destructive dredging of coastal barriers that the lawsuit claims are needed to protect important bird habitats at Wrightsville Beach.
It's a challenge, there's no question now.
The county argues that they've been using the same sand from this same inlet to rebuild the beach at Wrightsville for 50 years, with no harm to the birds at all.
I hate to use this phrase, if it's not broken, why are you trying to fix it?
It's going to be a little tight on the high tide.
Matthew Johnson's family owns Johnny Mercer's Fishing Pier, where you can watch the beach disappear as the tide rolls in. The county calls the Mercer's Pier area an erosion hotspot. Other hotspots in Wrightsville Beach include Raleigh Street to the south and the Sunspree Resort to the north, all places in Wrightsville where the waves wash all the way back to the dunes, even when there's not a storm.
The tides and the super tides and all that are going to cause some problems, may get some drainage. Keep my fingers crossed on the storm part. That's stuff you just can't control. It's kind of like rolling dice. I'm in paradise, but it all has a price.
Yeah.
I mean, it would hurt me, but what it would do to the houses and to everyone else and the other, it would be devastating.
For now, though, Johnson adds that Wrightsville's eroding beach and his beach business are both okay, even without the renourishment.
It's not bad, it ain't great, but it's not bad.
But the businesses and the beachgoers and even the birds all have a shared interest here in protecting Wrightsville Beach from the storms they know are coming.
The people you see here, the reason they're here is because of the beaches. The tourism, the tax dollars that allow us to take care of this beach. It's the tide that rises and lifts all boats. I think the birds deserve a fair shake, but I also think the rest of us deserve a fair shake, and to figure out how to work it out and get it done.
Okay, so who pays for all this? Well, the high cost of those beach at-risk renourishment projects are usually split between the feds, who do the planning, and the beach towns that get the benefit. In the case of Curie Beach and Carolina Beach, we're talking about slower erosion, up to 8 times slower after a project is finished. That's a benefit that Wrightsville Beach won't be getting this year. Amy?
Thank you, Jeff. For more on storm season at the Carolina coast, check out our website, pbscharlotte.org. You'll find a link to the National Hurricane Center's Interactive Storm Tracker, where you can follow the path of every major tropical storm and hurricane. Well, when was the last time you heard some good news? You see and hear negative news everywhere, on television, on the internet, all over social media. It sometimes makes you forget that there are still so many good people doing so many good things throughout our community. As we embark on our 10th anniversary season, we'll continue bringing you uplifting stories too. Carolina Impact's Jason Terzis has one now on how many in our community came together to help those in need recently.
The DJ playing the music, the kids showing off their best moves, and the gym packed.
The music and the vibe, everybody, it just makes it so much fun to do.
But this isn't a dance.
The World Hunger Drive is a once-a-year big deal event.
So big, St. Matthew Catholic Church in Ballantyne has been doing this for 2 decades, packing non-perishable food to help the poorest of the poor.
It is a massive process. The meal packing itself is a massive one-day project, and that takes 1,300 volunteers.
Named in honor of longtime pastor Monsignor John McSweeney, the process and scope of the World Hunger Drive has evolved greatly since its inception 20 years ago.
Back then, we were shipping in banana boxes.
Nowadays, it runs like a well-oiled machine, with church donations helping to purchase huge bags of rice and other supplies.
We'll buy directly from the growers in Missouri, which gives us a much better rate.
On the annual packing day, it's a beehive of activity. 30 tables, 10 volunteers each. All the ingredients, rice, soy protein, dehydrated vegetables, and vitamins, go into a funnel, which is then bagged below. It's then weighed, sealed, flipped into a pile, and boxed.
One of those little bags that you saw in there, that's 6 meals.
Obviously the reason why we're doing it to feed other people, but it's so fun. It's so fun. I love doing the scooping.
Boxes are then loaded onto dollies and wheeled outside, some adorned with personal messages from church parishioners. They're then loaded onto pallets, wrapped up, and taken away by forklift to be shipped out.
Carly is ringing the bell. You know what that means. This shift alone, we've hit 50,000 meals. You guys are doing a great job. Keep up the good work.
This year's World Hunger Drive totaled more than 311,000 packed meals, averaging out to just 17 cents per meal. Some of it will stay in Charlotte to help local food banks, but the vast majority of it is going to Haiti, the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere.
The poverty down there is just grinding. 80% of the population lives on $2 or $3 a day. Infant mortality is just crazy. Like 1 in 15 or 16 kids does not live to age 5 or 6.
I've been to Haiti multiple times. I've led mission groups. I've taken my daughter to Haiti. I've been there. I've seen these bags emptied into a pot, cooked for the school children and for those who truly need these meals. Literally not a grain of rice is lost in this effort.
Because the meals are all non-perishable, they can last down there for months and months and months.
Every dollar donated and meal created goes directly to helping those in need.
That it's not like you're sending a check to some big organization and you wonder, where does it go and how much gets spent on executive salaries and marketing and promotion. None of that is in our case. 100% of the money we get goes to doing the work that we do.
But we're also putting into place education, infrastructure, sustainability projects. This is a multifaceted effort that extends well beyond food.
St. Matt's works with Missionaries of the Poor to help with food distribution. They also help fund sustainability projects like freshwater wells. And multiple church leaders are involved in another group called Hands for Haiti, which subsidizes education efforts of students at St. Mark's School.
That school originally was just for like 1st and 2nd grade. Well, when the 2nd graders graduated, they needed a 3rd grade, and so we added a grade. And so each year, for the last 10 years, we've added a grade. And so now St. Mark's School has from pre-K all the way through grade 13, finishing secondary school. And this coming year, we'll be opening a trade school. We're under construction now with the trade school to try to teach people some job skills.
And it's incredible that we started with probably a dozen students back years ago, and we now have 370 enrolled students. It's a community effort.
We're permanent boots on the ground there. We've got a Haitian staff of over 60 people. And so we're able to see kids go through school, get an education, be able to get fed, get nourished, get a job, and just make a permanent, lasting impact on the lives of people.
Whether it's through education, sustainability projects, or simply providing nutrition, the World Hunger Drive remains at the heart of the St. Matthew Catholic Church family.
Through the church, through our parishioners, they embrace it. I mean, they understand the Christian message. We got to do the will of God. We got to serve the poor.
There is a lot of goodness that's being done in Charlotte, in this country, and around the world. It's just not promoted. But when you look at the totality of an event like this, many hands make light work. You can make a difference.
20 years of serving those most in need. The next 20 should be even better. For Carolina Impact, I'm Jason Terses reporting.
Thank you, Jason. It's so great to see our community come together to help others. Through its 20 years, volunteers of the World Hunger Drive have accounted for more than 44,000 service hours and packed nearly 3.5 million meals. Well, speaking of food, I'll confess to having a sweet tooth. I can be a cookie monster sometimes. Cookies come in all shapes, sizes, and textures, but near Winston-Salem, a third-generation family-owned business produces a thin and crispy cookie that's most popular around the holidays. Jason Terzis is back to help us learn more about Mrs. Haynes' Moravian cookies.
Welcome to Old Salem, a unique historic district in Winston-Salem. Originally established by a group of European settlers known as Moravians, today the historic district operates as a museum where visitors exploring centuries-old buildings get a chance to witness traditional crafts such as pottery, woodworking, and blacksmithing. At Old Salem, there's another Moravian tradition on display, Moravian cookies, thin cookies often made around Christmas time. It's a tradition passed down from one generation to the next. Eva Haynes learned to make the cookies from her mother and turned it into a business. Welcome to Mrs. Haynes' Moravian Cookies.
We had a small dairy farm. Mother made cookies to supplement the farm income. She asked me to help, and so I helped. And so that's how I got in the business.
She paid close attention and learned from her mother.
I really loved to make the cookies. I really did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I learned quickly how to handle the dough. I'm a time and motion expert.
Once in business, Mrs. Haynes got very efficient.
Whenever I was making nothing but sugar cookies, I could make 100 pounds a day.
Her husband Travis says her business plan was pretty simple.
She said, you make the dough, I'll make the cookies. And said, you sell the cookies. Now, I always add this last part. She says, that's not true. She always said, give me the dough.
Mrs. Haynes started as a home-based business, selling cookies simply by word of mouth. But that all started to change in the 1960s.
We were invited to the Christmas show in Charlotte and to the State Fair in Raleigh in the Village of Yesteryear. I'd show how the cookies were made there, and we'd give out samples. And that's how the mail order business got started. Then we'd hire, about every other year, we'd have to hire somebody extra because we needed more cookies.
The couple's efforts paid off over the decades, and today another generation is carrying on the family tradition. Meet Jedediah Templin.
Mrs. Haynes is my grandmother, so that would make me the third, but my great-grandmother developed a sugar cookie recipe, so that would make me the fourth. I'm also a 9th generation Moravian in the area.
But one thing hasn't changed.
It's still done by hand. You can determine how much flour you need to add to make it roll good and cut cookies out good. That's the secret of it.
We do it all. Everything, arrives here as flour, sugar, and molasses, and then we do the production and all the customer service and then taking the orders, and it's very much a hands-on business. It's not just made by hand.
Jedediah says the company employs about 40 people year-round, but demand for their cookies is high around Christmas.
Come Christmas season, I have to bring in another 20 people. So our ginger cookies we're able to make year-round. We have to make cookies year-round in order to have enough to sell at Christmas. And so the ginger cookies, there are no eggs, no milk in the recipe, and they have a very long shelf life.
The staff at Mrs. Haynes produces a staggering amount of cookies.
Every year, we're able to make over 100,000 pounds of cookies, all by hand. It takes a lot of work, a lot of people, about 20 people currently rolling and cutting cookies year-round. About half of it gets turned into ginger cookies. That's our biggest seller, most popular. That's the flavor that you think of when you think of a Christmas cookie. We'll do about 30,000 pounds of sugar cookies and about an even split for the rest of the flavors.
The process all starts in the mixing room.
The dough here is made in fairly large batches, 500 pounds or 700 pounds at a time, about 3 times a week. It's then chilled and brought into our production area where it's taken about 20 pounds at a time to a table to then hand roll and hand cut. Goes through the oven in the same room into our bakers who then take it off the pans by hand, pack it into bags by hand, or to be stored for packing later into our red tins, our gift tins, also by hand.
The most physical job at Mrs. Haynes goes to their team of skilled rollers.
The rolling process itself, yes, is a type of physical training. We actually just had somebody start this week who, their second day here, they mentioned, I'm a little sore. Each of the rollers has their own unique cookie cutter that we call a miniature. And that's their signature for each pan of cookies that they make. And so They'll make a pan of hearts and then one signature cookie of a crown or a teddy bear, something like that. So that way, the pan goes through the oven and to the bakers, and the bakers are taking them off the pans, and if they notice there's something wrong with these cookies, too thick, too thin, too much flour, too little flour, I know who made this pan of cookies because it's this miniature on the pan. It's an art, but it can be learned.
At one time, they explored bringing in cookie cutting machines.
I frankly did not want to go through the process of having to adjust how much flour to use and how to do this. I was getting rather up in age, and so we just kept on making them by hand and hiring a few more people.
Locally, you can stop by the factory to buy your cookies, but most people order online.
We ship them in 7-ounce tubes or 14-ounce or 28-ounce tins. The tins themselves are hand-packed, little stacks of cookies wrapped in either wax paper or a napkin. We ship all over to all 50 states, and every year I'll have about 50 to 100 packages go internationally. One of our favorite customers is actually Quincy Jones, who sends cookies Valentine's Day to lots of folks. And after the difficulty of 2008, one of the things that really got us back working was Oprah Winfrey mentioned us in her O magazine, saying, you know, would it be Christmas if my pal Quincy Jones didn't send me Mrs. Haynes' cookies? We're like, oh, well, that's very nice, thank you.
We asked Mrs. Haynes if she ever imagined that a simple family cookie recipe would bring such success.
Not in my wildest dreams, no. No, never, ever imagined. My husband and I, we worked hard, and I can just imagine what my mother would say. The Lord has blessed me all these years. I mean, He has.
We could never imagine this would turn into what it has turned into. But we've just been blessed all over our life. Even with the business here, we've had so much good help and good support. The only thing we've had here better than the cookies is those people in there making the cookies.
In the end, for the Haynes, it all comes back to family.
Well, it makes me feel good that it's still going on and still handled well. So heading it down to my next generation and then the next generation. And doing a fantastic job.
Being able to work with my wife as a partner the same way my grandparents were partners, be building together and adding on to a legacy of a family business. You know, this business now going into the third and you know, hopefully the fourth generation, it just means that I'm a caretaker of it. You know, it's humbling, but it's also inspiring to have that kind of responsibility, to be a caretaker of that kind of history and that kind of tradition.
For Carolina Impact, I'm Jason Terzis reporting.
Okay, I'm totally hungry now. Thanks so much, Jason. Well, here's a new one. From pleasure riding to racing, America has a long love affair with motorcycles. Did you know you can visit a museum in North Carolina with over 350 American-made vintage motorcycles? Strap on your helmet and let's ride to the Wheels Through Time Museum in tonight's 110 trip.
Being on a motorcycle, there's no feeling like it. It's an adrenaline feel. It's a connection with the road feel.
The freedom, the air, wind therapy makes you happy.
We're here at Wheels Through Time Museum in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, one of the world's premier collection of rare American motorcycles. The museum here is known as the museum that runs. Everything inside the building cranks up and goes. You can see it, you can feel it, and you can hear it. Wheels Through Time was started about 50 years ago. My dad, our founder, Dale Waxler, started collecting bikes when he was a kid and really just chased his passion. There's about 375 motorcycles here. Big focus on the first half of the 20th century. It's where a lot of the development was. It's where a lot of the rarity is. Bikes with character, bikes with personality, bikes with great stories. That's what makes this place what it is.
Must see. Any motorcycle enthusiast must see this. It's great. All the old bikes that people that are around here are very informative, telling you about the different bikes. You get to hear them run, see them run.
The reason it's important to keep the bikes running is kind of multi-faceted. multifaceted. You know, there's the transportation history part, and it's important to have more than just a display piece. For us, having the bike running gives such a deeper glimpse into the usefulness, the capabilities, and the purpose of the bike. And here at the museum, you know, we've kind of redefined what the term museum really means. When people come in here, they hear motorcycles run.
I bought my first Harley in 1974. I've been riding them ever since. I just love the freedom.
We told people that we were coming here for our honeymoon, and they're like, take pictures, let us know how it is. Because it's a destination a lot of our friends want to hit.
People from all over the world come to visit. We get about 100,000 visitors a year, so this place has grown and grown and grown. We've been featured on all sorts of television shows.
We saw this on TV. I think there was an interview on British TV. There was an interview with Dale, and we thought, that's it, we have to come. We have to come and see. So we had to come and see it, and it is something else. It is amazing. I love the sound and just the history of them.
We're motorcycle fans, a bit old for them now, so we don't ride anymore. It's a must-see, isn't it? Not even if you're into motorcycles. The way this is put together is incredible.
Really, when you get inside the building, you realize there's a lot more than just motorcycles. You know, this is American history. It's really kind of first pop culture, if you will. You know, over 30,000 artifacts in here. There's tons of racing stuff. You know, North Carolina, big racing state. There's advertising, there's the clothing, there's the gear that people wore. We've got choppers and hot rods and military machines, prototypes.
The passenger would actually sit in front of the rider.
One of the most important things here at the museum is our interaction with the visitors. Is that when people come in this door, we realize that they've traveled here to see this place. It's incredibly important for us to help their experience be the best that it can be.
The amount of vintage bikes that are here is just mind-boggling.
We wouldn't be here without our visitors, and as much as we love motorcycles and love collecting, the museum itself is driven by the people that come here, and that's the most important part.
Thank you, Russ. If you go to the museum, you can see what is called the rarest bike in the world, the 1916 Traub motorcycle. There's only one known to exist. You can learn more about the Wheels Through Time Museum at pbscharlotte.org. Before we run out of time, I want to invite you to share the good story ideas that you know with us so that we can turn them into future Carolina Impact stories to share with our region. Email your ideas to stories@wtvi.org. Well, that's all the time we have this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you back here again next time. Good night, my friends.
A production of PBS Charlotte.